The morning sun bathed the countryside in a golden glow as I stepped out onto my porch, a fresh cup of coffee in hand. My farm, a little slice of heaven on earth, stretched before me, rolling green pastures, a neatly fenced vegetable garden, and my most prized possession, a small grove of oak trees where I cultivated my secret fortune, truffles. These weren't just any truffles. They were black Perigord truffles, rare and expensive, fetching thousands of dollars per pound. Few people knew about them, and that was exactly how I liked it. Everything was peaceful until I heard the shrill, unmistakable voice of my neighbor, Karen. She was the self-appointed queen of the neighborhood, despite the fact that we didn't even have a homeowners association. That didn't stop her from enforcing her own set of arbitrary rules. "Rexo, go on, boy, dig, dig." My stomach dropped. Setting down my coffee, I rushed toward the grove, only to find Karen's golden retriever furiously digging at the base of one of my oak trees, flinging dirt in every direction. "Karen," I shouted, my voice laced with anger, "get your dog out of there." She turned, arms crossed, looking at me with her usual smug expression. "Oh, relax," she scoffed. "Dogs dig, it's what they do. Besides, it's just dirt. No harm done." I clenched my jaw, trying to keep my temper in check. "That's not just dirt. You're letting him tear up my property." Karen waved a dismissive hand. "Oh, please, you're being dramatic. If you don't want a dog in your yard, build a better fence." I stared in disbelief as she whistled for Rex, who trotted back to her side, his paws caked in mud. She didn't apologize. She didn't offer to fix the mess. She simply turned on her heel and strutted back to her house as if nothing had happened. I looked down at the ruined soil, my stomach twisting. The truffles, if Rex had unearthed them, they could be ruined. I dropped to my knees, gently brushing away the disturbed dirt, my heart pounding. And then I saw it, a chunk of black gold, half chewed and smeared in dog saliva. Karen had no idea what her dog had just destroyed, but she was about to find out. I crouched there for a long moment, staring at the ruined truffle. My heart pounded with frustration. This wasn't just some ordinary crop. This was years of careful cultivation, delicate conditions, and patience. Black Perigord truffles didn't just grow anywhere, and they certainly didn't survive being treated like a chew toy. I took a deep breath, brushing the dirt off my hands, and stood up. Karen was already halfway across her lawn, acting as if nothing had happened. "Karen," I called after her. She turned lazily, one hand on her hip, the other clutching her overpriced iced coffee. "What now?" she huffed. I held up the slobber-covered truffle. "Do you have any idea what your dog just destroyed?" She squinted at it and made a face. "What is that? A rock? Oh, don't be so dramatic." I let out a dry laugh. "That rock is a black truffle, and depending on the size, they sell for hundreds, sometimes thousands of dollars per pound." For the first time, I saw a flicker of something in Karen's expression. Was it realization? Guilt? No, of course not. It was greed. Her eyes darted between me and the disturbed soil. "Wait, you mean those things are worth money?" My stomach turned. I knew that look. Before I could say another word, she gave me a tight-lipped smile and shrugged. "Well, if you didn't want anyone digging them up, you should have put up a sign. Not my fault you kept your little gold mine a secret." I stared at her, speechless. This woman had the audacity of a cartoon villain. "So," she continued, smirking, "if these things are so valuable, maybe you should thank Rex for finding them for you." That was it. That was the moment I knew Karen wasn't just a nuisance, she was a problem. And problems had solutions. She didn't know it yet, but she had just made a very expensive mistake. The next morning, I awoke to the sound of frantic digging. My gut told me exactly what was happening before I even looked outside. I threw on my boots and stormed toward the grove, only to find Karen standing nearby, sipping her coffee as Rex furiously tore through the soil like a living shovel. "Karen, what the hell do you think you're doing?" I snapped. She turned with a slow, smug smile. "Oh, good morning. Rex is just getting some exercise. You wouldn't want to deprive a dog of his instincts, would you?" I could feel my pulse pounding in my temples. "He's not exercising. He's tearing up my land. Get him out of here. Now." She rolled her eyes. "Relax. If you don't want your little, what did you call them? Truffles, getting dug up. Maybe you should train a dog to find them properly." She let out a fake laugh. "Or, get a better fence." I clenched my fists, barely resisting the urge to shout. This wasn't just ignorance, this was deliberate. She knew exactly what she was doing. Rex, still covered in dirt, suddenly trotted up to her with something in his mouth. Another truffle. "Oh, look at that," Karen beamed, plucking it from his slobbery jaws. "I think we make a pretty good team, huh?" She held it up like a prize. "So how much would this one go for? A couple hundred." I stepped forward, grabbing the truffle from her hand before she could react. "This isn't a game, Karen. You're trespassing. This is theft." She scoffed. "Theft, please. It's not like I took them from your house. If your precious mushrooms are just lying around in the dirt, how is that my problem?" I exhaled slowly, forcing myself to stay calm. She was enjoying this, poking and prodding, pushing to see how far she could go before I snapped. But I wasn't going to snap. No, I had something much better in mind. I smiled. "You're right, Karen." She blinked, caught off guard. I am." I nodded. "Truffles are just lying in the dirt, and you know what? I think you deserve a chance to dig up as many as you want." Her eyes lit up with greed. "Finally, you're making some sense." Oh, I was making perfect sense. She just didn't know it yet. For the next 2 days, I played it cool. I didn't argue with Karen. I didn't yell when I saw Rex sniffing around my trees. Instead, I acted indifferent, like I had simply accepted my fate. I let her believe she was winning. And Karen, she took the bait like a fish on a hook. By the third morning, I spotted her crouched near my grove, phone in hand, filming Rex as he dug. "Come on, boy, find mommy some gold," she cooed. She wasn't just stealing now, she was bragging about it. I watched from my porch, sipping my coffee with a smirk. It was time. That afternoon, I made a few phone calls. First to a local news station. Then to a professional truffle dealer I knew. Lastly, I reached out to a few agricultural inspectors. By the next morning, everything was in place. Karen showed up bright and early, practically skipping toward my property, shovel in hand, not even bothering with the dog this time. "Well, well," she grinned, resting a hand on her hip. "Finally decided to stop being so stingy." I smiled back, something like that. She didn't hesitate. Dropping to her knees, she started digging like a woman possessed. She wasn't even trying to be subtle anymore, ripping through roots, shoveling up soil, desperate to get her hands on the next truffle. That's when the cars rolled in. A news van, a marked government vehicle, a sleek black car belonging to my truffle dealer. Cameras, reporters, officials, all stepping onto my land just as Karen was elbow-deep in dirt. What's going on?" she stammered, blinking up at them. I folded my arms, letting the silence hang. Then the lead inspector stepped forward. "We received reports of unauthorized harvesting on protected agricultural land." He eyed Karen's filthy hands. Ma'am, are you aware that illegally harvesting truffles without a license is considered a form of agricultural theft? Karen paled. What? The reporter jumped in. Miss, is it true you've been trespassing and stealing thousands of dollars worth of rare truffles from private property? A camera zoomed in on her panicked face. Her mouth opened and closed like a fish gasping for air. This is ridiculous. They were just in the dirt. I grinned. And I believe you were recording yourself doing it, weren't you, Karen? She looked at her phone still lying in the dirt, screen open, video running. A checkmate. Karen scrambled to her feet, brushing dirt off her jeans as if that would somehow restore her dignity. Now wait just a minute. This is entrapment. You can't just set me up like this. The inspector remained unimpressed. Ma'am, no one forced you to trespass, dig up private property, or record yourself doing it. He gestured toward the truffle expert, who had just picked up one of the dirt-covered truffles Karen had unearthed. The expert turned it over in his hand and whistled. This one alone is worth about $600. He pointed at the pile of destroyed roots Karen had ripped through. And judging by the damage here, I'd say she's caused at least a few $1,000s worth of losses. Karen turned a deep shade of red. You can't be serious, it's just a mushroom. The news reporter stepped closer, microphone at the ready. So, just to clarify, you're admitting on camera that you knowingly trespassed and harvested these rare truffles without permission. Karen's eyes darted around like a trapped animal. She knew she had walked right into this one. I crossed my arms, enjoying the show. You kept saying I should share Karen, so I figured I'd share your little hobby with some professionals who might appreciate it. The inspector jotted something down on his clipboard. Given the value of the damage, this could qualify as a felony agricultural theft case. He glanced at me. Would you like to press charges? Karen's head whipped toward me so fast I thought she might get whiplash. Wait, we don't have to get the police involved, do we? She let out a nervous laugh. Come on, neighbor, this is just a misunderstanding. I pretended to think for a moment, watching her squirm. Well, you did trespass, you did steal, you did destroy valuable crops, and you did film yourself doing it. She swallowed hard. But I continued, I'm a reasonable person, so maybe there's another way to settle this. Her face lit up with hope. Yes, I can make it up to you. I smirked. Oh, I have just the idea. She had no clue what was coming next. Karen nodded so fast she looked like a bobblehead. Yes, whatever you want, I'll do it. Just no police, okay? I pretended to consider it, then snapped my fingers. All right. Since you seem to enjoy digging so much, I think it's only fair that you help restore what you destroyed. Her face fell. What? I gestured to the mess she'd made. Piles of ripped-up soil, truffle roots torn apart, and my carefully cultivated land looking like a war zone. You're going to fix this. Every last bit. You're going to replant, restore, and make sure this land is back to the way it was before you and Rex turned it into your personal playground. She let out a strangled laugh. You can't be serious. The inspector raised an eyebrow. Actually, it's a very reasonable alternative to legal action. Otherwise, we can proceed with charges. The news reporter, sensing a juicy moment, leaned in. So, Karen, are you agreeing to work off your debt to your neighbor instead of facing possible legal consequences? Karen's jaw clenched so tight I thought she might crack a tooth. She looked at the cameras, the officials, and then finally at me. Fine, she spat, but I'm not doing it alone. I grinned. Oh, don't worry, I've already made arrangements. She frowned. What do you mean? I pulled out my phone and made a quick call. Minutes later, a truck pulled up, and out stepped a handful of local farm hands, people I'd hired to make sure Karen actually did the work. Oh, and one more thing, I added cheerfully. Since you love being on camera so much, I've arranged for daily progress updates on social media. We'll be calling it Karen's Community Service, the redemption of a truffle thief. Karen's face turned ghost white. You wouldn't. I gestured to the still-rolling cameras. Smile, Karen, you're about to go viral. The next morning, Karen arrived in old sneakers and sweatpants, looking absolutely miserable. I had made sure to document every step of her community service journey, posting daily updates with captions like Karen, from truffle thief to truffle tender and rehabilitating a menace to agriculture. The local online community ate it up. The farmhands I'd hired were more than happy to supervise her work. Every time she tried to slack off, someone was there with a camera or a cheerful reminder. Come on, Karen, those truffle roots won't replant themselves. She spent hours on her hands and knees, redigging and carefully covering the soil she'd destroyed. When I caught her trying to rush the process, I'd shake my head and remind her, you wouldn't want to mess this up, Karen. Truffle farmers have very strict quality control. The best part? The videos went viral. People all over the area and beyond began commenting, laughing at her situation, and even making memes. Someone edited her whining into a remix. It's just dirt, it's just dirt, followed by a beat drop. The internet had officially dubbed her Truffle Karen. After a week of hard labor, she finally snapped. I can't do this anymore, she cried, throwing down her gloves. This is humiliating. My hands are disgusting, my nails are ruined, and my back. Oh, but Karen, I said, barely containing my smirk, you still have 2 more days left. Unless, of course, you'd prefer we revisit the felony charges. She groaned and picked up her shovel. By the end of it, she looked like a shell of her former self, dirty, exhausted, and utterly defeated. The final video I posted showed her watering the last patch of soil while a caption read, from entitled neighbor to honorary farmhand, Karen has completed her rehabilitation. The comments were brutal. Give her a diploma in agricultural humility. Will she be accepting job offers in the farming industry? Plot twist. She now respects private property. When the ordeal was finally over, she stormed off without a word, her face burning with embarrassment. But the lesson had been learned. Karen had trespassed, stolen, and destroyed something valuable. But in the end, she had been publicly humiliated and forced to fix what she ruined. Justice had never smelled so sweet, or in this case, so earthy. A week after Karen's rehabilitation, life on my farm had never been better. My truffle grove was restored, the online fame had boosted my business, and best of all, Karen hadn't set foot anywhere near my property since. Whenever I saw her outside, she would scurry away like a guilty raccoon. The one-sloughed and obnoxious Karen who used to bark orders at neighbors now avoided eye contact and refused to speak to me. Word had spread far and wide about her infamous truffle heist, and she was a walking meme in town. At the local farmers' market, people would approach me with knowing smirks. Hey, got any Karen-approved truffles for sale? One vendor joked. Another customer laughed. If she ever comes sniffing around again, just put her to work full-time. Even the news station had followed up with a segment titled Local Woman Learns the Hard Way. Truffles aren't free. Complete with footage of Karen covered in dirt, looking absolutely miserable. One day, as I was unloading supplies from my truck, Karen cautiously peeked over her fence. So, she muttered, kicking at the grass. We're good now, right? I raised an eyebrow. That depends. Are you planning on stealing anything else from my land? Her face turned red. No. Are you going to let your dog dig up my property again? No. Are you ever going to pretend you know more about farming than an actual farmer? She sighed, no. I took a long sip of my coffee. Then yeah, Karen, we're good. She gave a stiff nod and disappeared back inside her house. From that day on, my truffles remained untouched. My property was respected, and Karen had been permanently humbled. And every time I pulled a fresh, perfectly grown black truffle from the soil, I couldn't help but smile. Some things in life are priceless, but watching a greedy, entitled neighbor get exactly what she deserved, that was worth thousands.